Osiris.
What's going on? It's Isaac of Inappropriate Happiness kicking off today's episode. And with me, to my right, when it's time to rock a funky joint, she is on point. It's Karina Rykman. Karina, you play Red Rocks Amphitheater in Morrison, Colorado this week.
Dude.
In 2 days.
In 2 days. You are so right about that. Isaac, great pod intro, my guy.
Thank you. Just had to switch it up a little bit this week.
That was very fresh. I like that. We got to keep the listeners on their toes. And yes, it is true. It is selfishly at the forefront of my mind because I'm gearing up. I'm gearing up for some ill shit. That's what they say when you play Red Rocks, first of three, starting at 6:30, right? Some ill shit.
I mean, it's kind of the illest.
I think so.
Because you get to take in that whole space for the first time of the night.
Correct.
As the sun is probably in an interesting place in the sky.
I would say so.
And the people are at an interesting place in their day.
Dude, people trickling in. Doors open at 6. I'm on at 6:30. May this podcast reach your ears before you are reaching the Red Rocks Amphitheater, my Colorado friends. Man, I'm beside myself. I don't even know. I keep looking at photographs of this venue and imagining that I will be playing it, and I am shook. I don't quite know how else to put it, but it's going to be crazy. We rehearsed last night. I did some inspired banter, and we clocked in at a good old 58 minutes, and we have an hour-long set, so that's exactly, I'm on time. And it will be streamed on nugs.net, and I can't wait for that element of it. That's really cool. I find that when things get filmed, there's sort of an added, pressure, fear.
Well, Karina, it's great for me. I will be watching the show right here in our apartment. And I very much look forward to it, in part because I don't know anything about the infamous String Dusters.
Dude, it's going to be a great learning experience. I can't wait for you to find out about the infamous String Dusters, because you like bluegrass.
I love bluegrass, and they're also, in the jam world.
Right.
And I've seen a lot of the other bands that they tour around with, but yeah, somehow they have eluded me all these years of going to see live music.
I mean, you can't keep tabs on all of them. You know,
can't.
It's very difficult. So,
but they are Grammy winning.
They are Grammy holders.
That's a fun fact about them.
We like that. They're delightful humans. Beyond thrilled that they would have little old me kick off the night for them. Can't even believe it.
I hear they do a great cover of Walking on the Moon by
Dude,
the Police.
You are so right. They do a Scarlet Begonias. They do a Just Like Heaven.
And Get Lucky, right?
They do a Get Lucky. You are absolutely right. They have some choice covers in their repertoire, and their originals are real fun. And I'm super excited to see them, in this magical context. I saw the poster. The poster looks beautiful. I have one reserved for me.
Great.
Which I'm thrilled about. I haven't actually acquired a poster in some time, so it's actually rather exciting for me.
I assume you know this, but
Tell me.
For the listeners, there is a underground tunnel that leads to the soundboard at Red Rocks, and many artists take a photo moment to sign the wall. Do you think you'll do such a thing with your band?
I figure when in Rome, you got to sign the tunnel,
I think that's right.
I think that's accurate. I got to do it. I can't wait to be in a tunnel. I love tunnels. Shout out to the Jefferson Theater in Charlottesville. They have a tunnel too that takes you from behind the stage to front of house. And that is a fantastic element. Yeah, I can't even believe it, dude. And again, we keep on saying it. It's getting more and more embarrassing every time I say it, but I've never even been there. And by there, I mean Red Rocks. Holy shit. What? I can't. Can't wait to be there.
Totally. I had the enormous privilege of going to see 4 Nights of Fish there in 2009.
Oh.
An experience I will never forget. And it is amazing how a venue can really shape the sound of a band, particularly over the course of a residency or a couple of nights, and also, move an audience to a kind of deeper immersion in music. And that place, that's what it's known for. It's a natural amphitheater, and is really astonishing. So I'm just very excited for you to experience everything you're about to experience, actually.
Thanks, pal. Thanks. I can't wait. I'll wave to you on the stream, and I can't even believe it. And shout out to my crew, Mr. Julian Booker on the sound, Mr. Jeff Volkhausen on the lights, and of course, my guitar player, Adam November, and my drummer, Chris Corsico. I don't know how I got so lucky, but it's like rolling around the country with your best friends, laughing everywhere, playing fun music, and, spreading a little joy. It's kind of my MO. So I'm just delighted to get to do it, and to get to do it at some kind of a, natural miracle of a place. It's miraculous. I can't stop thinking about it. When will I stop thinking about it? When it's over? Will I stop thinking about it when it's over? Probably not.
Karina, you're going to want to thank your crew.
You got to thank the crew.
You got to thank your crew.
Dude,
but really, you do have a fantastic crew. Those boys are awesome.
They're the best. They're so great.
Anyway, Infamous String Dusters, their new album, Toward the Fray, which I did download and have been listening to a little bit, I very much enjoy. And they are, of course, road dogs in their own right, and are on tour through the summer, and just today announced some September and October shows in the East Coast. So perhaps I will get to see them at New York's Gramercy Theater on September 23rd. But if you are looking to see them, they are probably coming to a town near you in the near future. And
you should probably think about it. You should probably go to infamousstringdusters.com and check it out and see if they're coming for you. I represent them now.
That's a new thing for you.
It's a new thing. I stand them, as the kids say. I stand them. They're my guys. So I look forward to spreading the gospel left and right.
Karina, what else have you been standing these days?
Dude, there's this band.
Yeah.
They're called Turnstile.
Uh-huh.
Everybody has bandwagoned them in a big way. And I love that on some level.
Uh-huh.
On another level, not to be this guy. I haven't felt this way about a band in a hot minute, but, I've been listening to this band since like 2014, I want to say, hardcore band, metal band, crazy, amazing melodies, like very catchy tunes. And now Turnstile has just played a few nights here in New York at both the Knockdown Center and Brooklyn Steel. I was not in attendance because I was playing festivals and rehearsing with my band. But man, it's like everyone and their mother is now a huge Turnstile fan, which is fantastic for them and fantastic for, the furthering of heavy music in the world and whatever. It's just funny for me to see people who, if they walked into a Cro-Mags show, they'd walk out in 20 seconds, be all like, oh, yo, Turnstile's my new favorite band. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I know community and music is a very important thing for you. And
Certainly.
Before, we started seeing Fish and going to, the depth of jam music and improvisational music that we go see these days, you were part of the NYC hardcore familia, the metal familia. There was a community aspect to that as well, correct?
Oh, in a huge way. Yeah, I mean, the heady and the heavy, the marriage of the two in my life are very important to me.
Absolutely.
And I stand by, both genres in such a big way, and countless others, but those I feel very tied to. Of course, I opened for every single decrepit metal band in New York City at every shitty nightclub in my teen years.
You, I at one point were, I guess, under the impression that there weren't enough metal bands in the United States, and there was a metal band overseas called Escape, and you were part of a movement to bring this band from
Cuba
to the United States because of how committed you were to the promotion and distribution of heavy music in the United States.
That is correct. And what happened with that? Very good recall, Isaac. Thank God you are my archivist. This band, Escape, a.k.a. Escape, from Cuba, their bass player couldn't get their visa. So they basically enlisted me at age 18, 19 to become the bass player for their first shows on U.S. soil, which I did with extreme fervor and passion. And there, believe it or not, there is a documentary about this very thing that we're talking about called They Will Be Heard that never saw the light of day.
Well, this was all part of something called Unblock the Rock. Is that correct?
Correct. This is, grassroots movements, man. Grassroots movements. This is what I was doing, late high school, early NYU.
So for folks listening, if a band like Turnstiles steps in and all of a sudden there is this huge popularity and you're going to the shows and you're seeing all these young kids, you might think, hey, this is great, but where were y'all when I was trying to unblock the rock back in the dizzy?
Dude, that must be what I'm feeling. I feel a little bit protective of my metal familia, baby. A little, I'm like, oh shit, guys, where were you when I was trying to unblock the rock? You're so right, And it's a very marginalized genre, more so than jam bands.
Yeah,
even though jam bands get a lot of flack as well in mainstream culture, but they're also, especially the iconography of the Grateful Dead was so wildly embraced in recent years and in pop culture, and with, I would say, a lot of help from John Mayer among others, people kind of wearing dancing bears around. And remember LeBron James was wearing some dancing bears, like all that shit,
It's more integrated into the fabric of American popular culture.
I would say so.
Definitely.
I would say so.
Than metal, yes.
Yes. And it's less abrasive, obviously, and it's more kind of palatable for the average listener, I would argue, so that's why I'm like, okay, what is wildly considered to be a marginalized genre, and that's why it's a conflicted feeling, of
I hear that.
I'm so thrilled that people are catching on to this and and by the way, this new Turnstile record that has really popped them off in the last however many months, 7 months, 8 months, blah, blah, blah. That record came out last summer, I want to say. It is phenomenal. I beg, beseech, and implore you, and clearly it's resonating with people who are not only hardcore and metal fans, but I really think you, our listeners, would like it because everyone likes it, because it's tapping into something different. It has real melodies, real pop hooks, incredible production. It's really fantastic. I really, really love it, and I'm so glad other people love it too. It's just kind of funny when, my boyfriend works for the Bowery Presents / AEG right here in New York City and is a concert promoter. He says that at the Brooklyn Steel show that happened last night, it was the most popular and ticket requested event that they've had, including LCD Sound System, including Lizzo, including Portugal the Man, including all of these underplays, in a club that holds 1,800 people, and that's just, that's incredible. That's amazing. But that little part of me is like, oh, wow, shit, you guys like metal now? Nice. Let's talk some other shit too,
Well, something that you touched on that I think just to really bring out, it's also a style of music that's about having alienated feelings.
Sure.
A lot of the time.
Totally.
And so to see it rise in popularity and to kind of think, wow, other people feel this too, and how, and
sure.
When I've gone to sort of bigger metal shows, like seeing Metallica, the frontmen usually are front women, James Hetfield, or front people. James Hetfield certainly does a lot by way of kind of talking about that, saying, we're a family here, we all feel similar things like that. Not to get too in the trenches on this very topic, but I think it's interesting, a genre that is sort of relegated to a certain status, and what happens when a band like Turnstile come and challenge that.
Absolutely. And that's true. And another, figurehead in the scene that comes to mind is Corey Taylor from Slipknot. He's always referencing, that the people who come to see Slipknot are alienated, but this is where they're home. You know what I mean? And this is where they're embraced, and they're freaks and weirdos and lunatics and whatever, but there they can be themselves and they can have this sort of catharsis through the music that they provide, which I understand, but then the other thing that's so amazing to see Turnstile's rise to prominence, I really think that they are going to be, one of the big headliners on festivals coming, 2023. And that is the shit we need to keep the genre alive and to keep, young people kind of tethered to, aggressive rock music, meaning heavy, anything, whatever it may be. And I think that's really cool and fantastic in a genre that has suffered incredibly from the lack thereof of new headliners. I know we have Dead & Co. and we have, a lot of older sort of figureheads in our scene that have kept, being the top line on the festival, right? And whatever, we certainly suffer from that. But now, especially with Goose, but younger bands kind of coming up and kind of trying to, kind of fill that role a little bit and getting bumped up higher and higher and higher, whatever, metal has suffered incredibly with sort of legacy acts being the top line for a long, long time, And so it's really nice to see a band like Turnstile being so wildly embraced, because I'd love to personally see, a big pop festival headlined by Krungbin, Turnstile,
Goose, Karina Rykman, Tame Impala. That's the shit. You know what I mean? If this band gets that popular, which who's to say? I mean, they'd probably laugh if they were listening, but I really see this sort of wild trajectory for this band, and I think that's really fucking cool. Well, they are playing 2 nights at the 930 Club in Washington, D.C., May 26th and May 29th. But then they head overseas, which is a whole other kind of ballpark where I think, this music has a different kind of cultural status. And I'm sure they have, things growing over there, too. And they're playing a number of different festivals. So
very cool.
Yeah, very cool.
It's wild. Yeah. Not to get too crazy on heavy metal every week, but man, I really feel strongly about it. And it's an amazing thing to see it, kind of rise to prominence. And, I implore everybody to go and listen to stuff that, sort of has a harder edge than you're used to. I think it's good for you. I think it's, it's a balance of yin and yang, man. The quietest of the quiet, the heaviest of the heavy. It's important.
I couldn't agree more. And, I also really appreciate heavy music in a lot of different ways. But a band that I have watched grow to headlining status is a band called Ghost.
Oh, yeah.
And they just announced a fall tour of North America with Mastodon, another band that we have been following for quite some time.
Oh, yeah.
And, I feel a similar joy in that they're playing arenas. Huge. And they're a band with a lot of sort of mystique about them, a lot of, as we've talked about, I really love theatrical music and their stage performance and the whole lore around them, really, I think, propels them to be a band that people follow and a band that can rise the ranks based on, a very specific kind of appeal.
Big time. And it is amazing. We saw them at the Music Hall of Williamsburg. That's
completely on their first, album, the touring behind their first album.
Insane. That's 500 people, saw them at Webster Hall, saw them, really kind of go through all of it. And for our listeners who may not know, Isaac, this band, they wear sort of cloaks and head coverings and nobody knows who's actually in the band. Is that correct?
That is correct, although they did at the end of this past European tour take a photo with their crew and they're all unmasked. And I think it's actually really beautiful. They said, this is Ghost or
wow.
This is us. We're here and we're here to stay. And saw a lot of Ghost fans reacting very positively with a lot of emotion for the sort of unmasking of the band that they love so much, and so I think that's very cool too.
Love that. We love that, and it's so great to see these bands grow into headliner status, and just tracking these trajectories over the years. It's amazing, and man, may they reign for a long, long time. I remember seeing them at the Orion Festival, Metallica's festival in Atlantic City in 2012. And they played during the day. And those who knew. And those who didn't were about to know. You know what I mean? It was one of those very wildly anticipated sets, but one that went down at 2 p.m. Mm-hmm. Very, very cool. And I loved it.
Well, speaking of going across the pond.
Yes.
Very exciting news happened at 12 midnight this morning or last night, whatever you want to call it. Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band announced that they will be going on a world tour starting in 2023 in the United States. Those dates have yet to be announced, but they will begin in February. And the dates that were announced this morning or last night start in Barcelona in April of 23 and end in Italy in July of 23 with only more shows promised to come.
Huge stuff. And for those of you who don't know, Isaac knows so much about Bruce Springsteen, has seen so many Bruce Springsteen shows. He's a published scholar in the Grateful Dead and, Bob Dylan Fields, but nobody more qualified to talk about Bruce than the man sitting right next to me. So this is very good that you're here.
As you were saying that, I was like, I guess I've never really written about Springsteen, but my application to NYU to go to college was all about Bruce Springsteen. And the song Thunder Road.
Get the fuck out of here.
And so I have written about Bruce Springsteen in that regard. But yes, Karina, I love the music, the man, the mythology surrounding Bruce Springsteen. I was just thrilled to be with the E Street Nation, as we're called, in the celebration of this announcement. It's been 6 years since they have played together. He's been very busy with Springsteen on Broadway, and obviously with the pandemic, things have not been easy. But he did take to the airwaves on Sirius XM for Our Home to Yours, which was a kind of run of radio shows he did over the course of the lockdown. And he said, when we're past this chapter in our history, I'm going to throw a big party and everyone's invited. And so the anticipation for this tour has been building, and I think it sends a real message that he announced the European dates first. Perhaps it's just a logistical thing, but people over there, man, they love Bruce.
Dude, even though he's born in the USA and he is the figurehead of the working man here in New Jersey and beyond in this country, he is so wildly embraced over there. Holy shit.
I suggest listeners who are interested go to YouTube and just watch some footage of him playing overseas. There's a DVD live in Barcelona, but there's a lot of fan clips, and people go as crazy there for the quietest, softest, most random songs than they do for, Born to Run. It is a non-stop devotional, ritualistic embrace of rock music.
Hedonistic. You name it. Dude, I mean, that would be a thing I'd like to make a trip out of. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I know.
Oof. Isaac, real question.
Yeah.
You, desert island, you're stranded, you get 2 Springsteen records. What are you taking?
I would take The Wild, the Innocent, the E Street Shuffle.
Beautiful.
Which is the second album. And I would take The River because it's a double album. More songs for me.
Double the Springsteen for you under the palm tree.
Because it's got to be a studio album, right? I can't just take a live box set.
No, the live box set's not going to cut it, unfortunately. I mean, you could. No, this is about studio albums for sure.
Yeah, I mean, those two really do it for me every time, as they say.
Yes. Well played. You see, we had to know. And then, okay. New question. You one song, right? It's you're on your deathbed. This is difficult.
On my deathbed.
You're on your deathbed. This is it. You can hear one more Bruce Springsteen song before you die. One more. That's it. And that's lights out forever, baby. What are you going with? It's tough.
Oh, man.
You could think about it.
I'm going to think about it. I'll get back to you on
Yeah,
that.
please do. It's difficult. It's just, this guy, man, fucking Bruce, with so many incredible records, so many incredible songs, records that are so different, If you look at Nebraska and then you look at Born to Run, like, what? Unbelievable. I just don't even know. It's crazy. It's an amazing life of an amazing artist, and we are so blessed to be in the same moment, living on the same planet with Mr. Springsteen, and I look forward to those U.S. dates, Isaac.
I know. I'm very excited.
Dude.
So I think, to close out today's episode, we should talk about how some of our headlines from last week have aged.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because last week we talked a little bit about your dream in which you, what is it, kidnap?
I handcuff, shall we say. I take Perry Farrell from Jane's Addiction and, of course, Porno for Pyros at a Porno for Pyros show into a room. I handcuff him. I ask him very gingerly if I can sing his song Pets with him. To which he acquiesces, but I never actually get to sing it with him.
So shortly after you divulged this dream to our listeners on the podcast, the Welcome to Rockville Festival, which you attended as a true member of the metal familia long before the posers were here listening to Turnstile, announce that Jane's Addiction, who was supposed to be playing on Sunday alongside Nine Inch Nails and Smashing Pumpkins, need to pull out because Dave Navarro, tattoo artist extraordinaire,
pierced nipples and all,
has contracted COVID-19, the novel coronavirus, and replacing them is Pornos for Pyros, who are playing for the first time in 26 years.
Dude, I'm not saying I had something to do with it. I'm not saying I didn't. Unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's so great. I'm a huge Porno for Pyros fan, as you and all of our fervent listeners now know. And I am also a sick fuck, as all of our listeners now know. But this is really fun. And yes, welcome to Rockville. Man, a festival after my own heart. I was there in the year 2015. Things were different then. It was in Jacksonville, Florida. Is it still in Jacksonville, Florida?
I don't know.
Something like that.
Well,
yeah. It was a time to be alive. I watched Korn on the stage with Marilyn Manson standing right next to me. That was retrospectively terrifying and awesome at the same time. And great festival, and I'm so glad that Porno for Pyros could come back together and make it rain on a moment's notice, right? They really turned on a dime with that.
Yeah, it's actually pretty awesome.
It's
and
amazing.
They played a couple of Jane songs, and I don't know, here's some more Porno for Pyros. I mean, it would be great if we got to see some of that here in New York City.
Dude, and I could finally have a quasi-dream realized. If Porno for Pyros played Terminal 5, that would really just bring it all home for me. Let's go.
And the other headline from last week that unfortunately did not age quite as well, Pearl Jam did need to cancel the last 2 dates of their tour, this leg of the tour in Sacramento and Las Vegas.
Tough. It's so not easy, man, and it's so COVID, man. It's just you have a big event, it just can fuck up your whole situation.
But I think COVID is of course the novel coronavirus. It is its own thing. It's its own realm that is it's something the world has never seen in recent. I don't even know. How do you even talk about coronavirus? It's such a terrible, confusing thing to talk about.
We've been trying for years.
Things like it. We don't really know.
Yeah.
But, in terms of live music, I was thinking about how when we were growing up, we'd hear stories like, oh, before you had a cell phone, people would get lost in these crazy ways and, end up with mud on their boots and all this crazy stuff, and like get to the show and find out that something had gone terribly wrong, or there was arrests or busts or all kinds of crazy things. And, this has been another hurdle in our lifetimes that, now with vaccinations, fortunately, this seems to have subsided somewhat, and people are staying safe enough. But, it is really kind of this chapter in the struggle to experience fun and gather and embrace things in a safe way.
It's difficult. It's so difficult to know like what to do and how to proceed now. It's like, here in New York, the numbers are up, but people are wearing no masks anywhere, basically. And it's sort of like a party at your own risk kind of vibe. But if you're in a touring band and some shit goes awry, like Pearl Jam is canceling for legions of their fans, because of that. And it's just difficult. It's so crazy to know how to navigate and what to do and how to play it. And, there's just now this added element of like, even for me this week, I played 2 festivals this last weekend, and I'm like, oh God, if I get COVID at these festivals and I can't do Red Rocks this week, that will be so horrible. Totally. You just can't even, put that even in the air. I'm sad. I retracted. Anyway, it's such a hard thing. Like there's just this now added element of like, people used to get sick.
Sure.
And go on with the show. And now we sort of don't. And that's good, I guess. It is good, but it's also complicated, and it also puts thousands, millions of dollars on the line for lots of touring bands that are suffering tremendously right now because, it costs hundreds of dollars to fill up the gas tank in one tour bus, and it costs, over $100 for me to fill up my Sprinter van with gas, you know what I mean? Like these are things that you just you can't even conceive of if you're not like in the business of putting the show on, It's just like hidden costs, hidden everything. Like it's just complicated and difficult. And it's going to continue to be that way for the next little bit until we figure out what to do,
Yeah, it's really true.
Such a shame. Sending our love out to Pearl Jam.
Love out to Pearl Jam. Hope all the listeners staying safe.
Dude, totally.
Enjoying it when you can.
Oof. Yeah, man, it's complicated out there. It is complicated. And shout out to the young touring bands trying to tour. God, it is a shit show out there. It is a shit show. Because you're trying to do stuff like even me, like I'm selling my own merch after the show, and like being very much a public facing that guy, and then being like, oh, this is it. This is the night the whole ship goes south because I didn't want to pay $175 to hire a merch seller tonight. And I wanted to do it myself to meet my fans. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to do it myself to, it's all those things. And then you're like, oh God, is this going to do it to me? Is this going to shut down the whole operation? Fuck, it's like you're so damned if you do and damned if you don't. But it's always sort of in the back of your mind that it could go down at any second, and in the case of Pearl Jam, it did, and that's a fucking hell of a bigger production with a lot more money on the line than my stupid little thing, Like, God, super rough. Thoughts out to everybody trying. Keep trying.
Keep trying.
Jeez, do what you can. It's rough out there, y'all, but man, we're making the best of it. It's gonna be okay. We're gonna figure out how to deal, and hopefully,
it can happen. It can happen safely, and it will continue to with hurdles and bumps and really big love.
Yeah, nothing but
everyone out there doing it.
Oh my God, Isaac, on that incredible note, do we have any more hot goss for the people, or we got what do we got? That feels really great.
Yeah, I think we're going to go live soon.
Dude,
right? That's just a little preview. You may see our faces on your screen at some point soon.
So good luck to you. No,
good luck to you.
We look forward to going live. I think that's going to happen next week if I were a betting man. That means Red Rocks will be behind me. You will have been to a wedding. I will have been... dude, we're going to be all over the map. between now and then. Lots to talk about. Lots to talk about.
Big shout out to our producer, Marlo Shankweiler, our main man, Brian Brinkman,
Dude, our other main man, RJB.
and all the people at Osiris Media.
We love Osiris Media. We're thrilled to be a part of it. Thank you. Thank you, iBooks, for chopping it
Stay
up.
safe, stay inappropriately happy,
Do it all and
do it all.
do it proper. You know what I'm saying? And just like Isaac said, when it's time to rock a funky joint, we hope you are on point. Thank you, everybody. This has been Inappropriate Happiness. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Osiris.